Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K Collector, and my question for today is: have we hit the collecting sweet spot for the PlayStation 4? And I'm asking this question because for the last maybe year or two, the PlayStation 4 seems to be the most inexpensive modern console to collect for. It's usually less expensive than the Switch, and a lot of times it's either right on par with like PS3 or Xbox 360. I tend to find games, even good games, for under 15 bucks, 15 to 20 bucks, depending on the game and depending on how old it is. So I would say, if I were to answer the question, I would say yes. I would say that now is probably a good time to start being selective with the games that you collect for the PlayStation 4 and start to pick out some of the more rare gems before they become expensive, because I think the AAA titles will be around for a while. You're going to see them in GameStop and Best Buy for a while. And I think when it comes to some of the more common AAA titles, I think you're going to see them probably go on sale even further. I wouldn't be shocked to see if you can pick up some of those under like a 4 for $20. I know GameStop usually has one of those promos where they do like 4 games for 10 bucks, or 4 games under $10 for $20, and 4 games under $20 for $40. I think they recently had that promo. Maybe over, maybe not. But that, whenever GameStop has those promos, that's usually a good time to capitalize on some of those mid-tier games. But I wanted to kind of go through and talk with you about 13 games that I think you can still find at GameStop that are going to be either a little bit harder to find. Some of them might be a little bit on the more expensive side, but I would say that if you can find them at GameStop, especially on like a buy two, get one promo, or even if you got to pay full price in some cases, I say pick them up now, because some of these are starting to shoot up even on the secondary market like eBay and Mercari. So I'm not going to spend too much time jabbering and blabbering. Let's kind of go through some of these here really quickly. So the first one that we're going to talk about is Streets of Rage 4. Now, there are 2 versions of Streets of Rage 4. I actually prefer the first version because the first version actually came with a little bit more physical stuff inside. I think it came with a keychain. It also came with a manual, and it just felt more like a hefty Streets of Rage game. But the fact is that this Streets of Rage version is actually the better version because it does come with all of the DLC. So if you do not feel like connecting your PlayStation to, the internet, if you don't want to play online, and if you don't want to have to download all of the additional content, I would say try to find this version if you can, either at GameStop or at your local game store. This was on clearance towards the end of the year. I think that there was like 50% off this price. And then they also had like around the holidays with the buy two, get one. So I was actually able to take advantage in that way. If you want to take a chance and just wait until the end of this year, the holiday season, and see if you can run into this and pick it up at a discount, I would say you could probably take the chance on this one, because this one isn't like super rare or expensive or anything like that. But Streets of Rage 4 overall is a great modern classic. That's what I call these games that kind of revive some of the older games that we loved as kids. And so this is a great beat 'em up that I would definitely recommend you try to see if you can get your hands on the PlayStation 4. Definitely going to be one of the cheaper ways to get to it. My recommendation, try to see if you can find it now. The next one is going to be Fist of the Northstar Lost Paradise. Now, this one I don't think is rare at all. I would regularly run into Fist of the Northstar Paradise at different GameStops, but I'm not seeing it as much anymore. This isn't one that I would say is super expensive or anything like that. You can probably still get this new for under 30 bucks. But again, if you want to take advantage of those, 4 under 20 for 40 or 4 under 10 for 20, GameStop might be your best friend in snagging up some of these mid-tier games or some of these mid-tier priced games. I don't know if Fist of the Northstar would be considered like a niche title. It is a 3D beat 'em up. I love my 3D beat 'em ups. I'm a big fan of the Yakuza series. I've always loved the Fist of the Northstar series. I've got the Fist of the Northstar Ken's Rage on PS3 and Ken's Rage 2 on Xbox 360. So this is just another installment into a great 3D beat 'em up series. As you all know, I've been talking a ton about Fist of the Northstar boxing, so I'm usually getting my fit on with Kenshiro. We're usually working out together at least a few times a week. So if you're a fan of the beat 'em up, definitely check this one out. Like I said, this one isn't super expensive yet, but it is becoming harder to find at GameStop. So this is one that I would try to get into the PS4 collection sooner than later. Next one up that we have here is Odin Sphere. Now, Odin Sphere is absolutely nothing new. We've seen Odin Sphere since the PlayStation 2, right? And it's been on every PlayStation console since the PlayStation 2, I think minus the PSP. But we've seen it on the PlayStation 2, the PlayStation 3, now the PlayStation 4. We've also got it on the PlayStation Vita. And the prices for this game does vary. It is the most expensive on the Vita from what I've seen. I do have it on that system as well. But if you're looking for a great way to play it, the PlayStation 4 is a great way to play it. And you can still get this game for under $30. So I would definitely try to bundle this up. Definitely bundle it up with a game like Fist of the Northstar. Games that fall into that $20 to $30 range, it's a great time to grab those whenever there's a buy two, get one, or buy three, get two, or whatever the case may be. So jump on that. If you're into the hand-drawn, vanillaware, 2D side-scrolling, hacking and slashing combos-based game from Atlas, which is a classic, I would definitely recommend Odin Sphere. There's a reason why they kept re-releasing this game, because it's a classic. It's a great one. Check it out. The next one that we are going to be looking at is SpiderMan II. Now, SpiderMan II is available on a number of systems, but for whatever reason, when it comes to the PlayStation 4, it's just a bit more expensive for some of these games. If you happen to go into a GameStop and pick up a copy of SpiderMan II, it is going to run you somewhere between 40 and 50 bucks, usually somewhere between 40 and 45. But this is a very good game. I know everyone's on the SpiderMan 2 for the PlayStation 5, which takes open world web swinging to a whole new level. But they had to start somewhere, and SpiderMan 2 is a great installment into the Spider-Man series. I'm very, very tempted to collect all of the Spider-Man games for all of the consoles that I own. I'm so tempted to do it, and I'm tempted to start a series on it. Don't know if I'm going to do it, but I've been thinking about it a lot. And I may, but Spider-Man is a great game. If you're a fan of the Spider-Man comics, a fan of the Spider-Man series, this is one that I would definitely try to grab as well. Wait for those promotions, wait for those sales, but get them into your collection, or get this one into your collection, because it is a bit expensive. This next one kind of falls into the same category, where it's not really rare yet, but it is becoming more and more hard to find, especially in GameStops. It's harder to find this one in the wild. And that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Manhattan. This is available on the PlayStation 3. I think it's also available on the Xbox One. There's a number of places that you can find this. But again, PlayStation 4 is usually going to be the most expensive version to get for games like this. I don't think this came out on the Nintendo Switch, but I really like this game for the same reason that I like some of the older Spider-Man games. It gives you this open world gameplay style that allows you to just roam the city. Unfortunately, the New York in this game isn't as expansive as the Spider-Man version, but you do get a lot of those cool features like being able to run on the walls. You can use your shell, I think, as a parachute. And then the amazing tag team combos that you can pull off in this game just make it a very fun hack and slash style beat 'em up game. And this is one that I would definitely try to get into the PS4 collection. This one has not gone down in price either. This is usually going to run you between 40 and 45 bucks at GameStop. But if you can bundle it with a game like Spider-Man and get another game in that range, it all kind of breaks the overall price of them down. But this is one that I would try to add into the collection. Along with this guy, Transformers, right? The Dark Spark. This is another one that's starting to evaporate just more and more. It's starting to become, you're seeing this less and less in the wild. Copies of this are becoming fewer and farther between, and I wasn't sure at first, but it looks like this is one of those ones that's just randomly going up in price for whatever reason. I'm seeing used copies of this game go for somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 to 45 bucks online. So I would definitely try to see if you can add this into the collection. It is an action game, action kind of run and gun style, shoot 'em up. If you're a fan of the Transformers series, definitely look into this one. This is not a must-have in my opinion, but it is a good one to have if you can get it at a decent price. I happened to run into this for $14.99 at a local GameStop and decided, you know what, this is one that would probably make a good addition, especially at this price. So went ahead and added it there. Now we're going to start to get into some of the more rare and, yes, expensive games. And we're going to start with Berserk and the Band of the Hawk. This is one that I would definitely try to pick up. Berserk came out on the Dreamcast back in the day, and I remember I still have it in my collection now. The Dreamcast version is pretty cool. That whole broadsword hack and slash gameplay style is one that I've always appreciated when it came to the hack and slash genre. And this is just another installment in that. I would definitely pick this up and add it to the PlayStation 4 collection, to your PlayStation 4 collection. This one is getting much, much more harder to find, and the price for this one has gone up. Now, usually you're going to see this in GameStop for between 45 and 50 bucks, but it's still going to be cheaper usually than what you're going to find it for on eBay or on Mercari. If I'm not mistaken, because the last time I checked, this was averaging somewhere in the neighborhood of 55 to 65 bucks, and it's probably going to continue to go up, especially once the PlayStation 4 life cycle officially closes. So if you're into hack and slash style games and you're a fan of the Berserk series, if you played it on the Dreamcast, grab this one up. This one is getting a little bit tougher to find. It is more on the rare side, and the price is beginning to reflect it. So I would definitely look for this one and see if you can find it out there in the wild. Same thing with this guy. Attack on Titan 2 is one that you will see at GameStop, but when you do run into it, it's going to run you around 45 to 50 bucks. Now, the ultimate version of this is Attack on Titan 2 Final Battle. That's the one that I believe comes with all the DLC and the extras. I have that version on the Nintendo Switch. I think I also have it on the Xbox One. But on the PlayStation 2, you can find it. 45 bucks for this guy. This is a very interesting game. Pretty gruesome. Pretty gruesome. I had never really watched the Attack on Titan anime series before actually playing this game. So when I first saw these like naked monsters, I was like, whoa, what's going on here? But it's cool, man. It's cool. The gameplay style is really cool. You almost like not web swing, but the movements in this game remind me of how you move in Spider-Man. A lot of like slinging action, running on roofs, things like that. And then it has that hack and slash component to it. So the gameplay on this game is top notch for sure. The price reflects it. This is one that is going to cost you a pretty penny if you do happen to run into it at GameStop. But this is one that I would try to add to the collection, because I think the floor for this game is probably going to be around 35 to 40 bucks. I don't know if it's going to get any cheaper than that, unless you just happen to run into someone who's just trying to get it out of their system and get rid of it, or get it out of their collection rather. So Attack on Titan 2 is another good one. Same story with this PS4 game, Deception. So Nightmare Princess, this is one that I would definitely try to add. I never really see this game. I think I ran into this game one time at GameStop. Randomly by happenstance. They had it for $14.99, and something just told me pick this up. I wasn't even sure if it was more like a turn-based RPG or what type of RPG it was. I'm familiar with the Deception series because I think I have one part of it in my PlayStation 1 collection. If I'm not mistaken, Kagero is part of the Deception series. If I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments. I don't have them all. I don't have all the versions, but this one plays as a little bit more of like a action-based puzzle style gameplay here on this one. So very demonic, underworld, vampire-ish. I'm not a huge fan of these types of games, but I do like it when the gameplay is a little bit different and a little bit unique. So this one was added to the collection, and for $14.99 I wasn't going to pass it up. When you look online, this is another one of those that's been holding its value somewhere in the neighborhood between 45 and 50 bucks. It is holding its value, so I don't really see it going down. We're in a state of collecting now where game prices are dropping, but some of these games, they haven't really budged. Like the price for them has not really gone down, and I don't really think we're going to see them go down anytime soon. Again, especially as we're working our way out of the PlayStation 4 life cycle. The next game that we have here is Gravity Rush 2. Now, this one's not super expensive. In fact, I think you can find brand new copies of Gravity Rush 2 for probably around 35 to 30 bucks. So that's one that we can definitely do. And that's one that we can definitely add into the collection because of the price point. I think that this is a very good sequel to the original. I was first introduced to Gravity Rush via the PlayStation Vita. The PlayStation Vita was the first time that I played the first installment of Gravity Rush, and I really liked it. I like the story. I like the little cat that follows you around. I like the way the cat is somehow mysteriously tied to the powers that the main character has when it comes to manipulating gravity. So, and then even more so, I love the art style on the Gravity Rush series. I love that whole cell shaded art style. It's so timeless. And it almost doesn't matter what system it's on. Like, there are PlayStation 2 games that follow this art style that still look amazing to this day. I love the vibrancy of the colors. I love the openness of the world and how expansive it is. Just a very cool story. And if you're looking for something to do on a rainy Saturday, I would definitely check out Gravity Rush 2. It's on the inexpensive side, but this isn't one that you're going to see in GameStop as much anymore. I was running into this at GameStop for between 25 and 27 bucks. But it's not there anymore. And as the copies start to become fewer and farther between, I'm seeing the price start to slowly creep up on the secondary market, being eBay and Mercari and stuff like that. So I would definitely try to see if I can get my hands on a copy of Gravity Rush 2, if you can. And then we have, obviously, the originator, Gravity Rush. Now we're starting to get into more of the really rarer PlayStation 4 games and some of the more expensive PlayStation 4 games. Now, the last time that I checked, a brand new copy of Gravity Rush is going for over $100 on the secondary market. It doesn't mean that that's what it's worth. It doesn't mean that that's what you should pay for it. And it doesn't mean that you should have FOMO and try and go buy it. But if you do happen to run into this at GameStop, the most that they're going to price this game at is going to be roughly around 49 bucks, around 50 bucks. If you're a pro member, then you can get maybe a few bucks off. If you have your $5 coupon, then you could probably get, another few dollars off and get it down. But this is a great game. It has all of the elements that I just explained of Gravity Rush 2. It's just the original version. And there goes that cat that mysterious little black cat that I talked to you about. Great game, man. Great game. Great gameplay, great graphics. Not going to beat a dead horse on this one. But again, I'm seeing this complete in box, like used, go for between $80 to $90. New, I'm seeing it go for over $100. This one has gone up since the last time I checked it, and it's continuing to go up. And again, I can only imagine that as we come out of the PlayStation 4 life cycle, it will only get higher. So if you happen to run into this one, even if you got to pay full price, this might be one that I might pick up full price if I don't have it at all in my collection. If I didn't have a copy of Gravity Rush, I'd pick this up because this one is a rare one. Now this one is one that I really, really like. So Rez, I love this game, right? I've talked about Rez before on my channel. I really like this game. I actually first experienced Rez on the PlayStation 2. I remember when I first got the game. This is a first-person shoot-'em-up style game where you play as, you start the game off as what seems to be like a small piece of data. And as you go through the game, you have to shoot down these little orbs that I guess carry more data. And the more you collect the data is the more you begin to take on this humanoid type form. And as you become more humanoid, your blaster gets stronger. You start to move a little bit better. You're more powerful, and you're able to take on the bosses. The boss battles are sick. They're in like this, because you're really set in this like virtual ether, like this virtual world where you're just flying through, and every attack is set to the beat of the level. So it follows this like techno style beat, that that whole deal. And every time you shoot, everything is on beat. And so it's just so addicting. And like once you stop playing it, you find yourself humming that stupid beat. What takes this to another level is this is the VR version. So man, what a trip. I mean, Rez without the VR is a sick game. With VR, I mean, it's super fun. So if you have never heard of this game, Rez, check it out. Look at the back. Yeah. So this is that virtual reality world that you're flying through. And as you can see, the more you grow and the more you, I guess, take in more data, the more you build like that humanoid form. These are the little like virtual, I don't know, data squiddies that you got to shoot down. It's just real interesting. I don't really know how to explain it. You just got to play this game. This is one of those games that you got to play. Very fun. Do not sleep. If you see this at GameStop, pick it up. I don't care if it's full price. Pick this game up. It's a fun game. I played it a ton. You will like it. I guarantee it. Last but not least, boom, this guy, Blasphemous. Blasphemous was probably my favorite game for 2024 or 2023 rather. This game was probably the game that I played the most on the PlayStation 4, and this game is the game that I probably played this the most out of all games during 2023. I keep saying 2024. Blasphemous is one of those games that, you know, I'm almost scared to see what the enemies would look like if this were 3D. I'd probably not be able to sleep, because for a 2D sprite-based game, they do an excellent job of displaying some of the most gruesome images that you will ever see in a 2D game. This is definitely mature. Don't play it around the kiddos. But Blasphemous is just sick. It has some of the best gameplay ever. In terms of Metroidvanias, I mean, obviously, the best Metroidvania games are always going to be Super Metroid and Castlevania Symphony of the Night. But this right here, man, this gives those games a run for their money. And, you know, there's a lot of modern classic games that try to follow the whole Metroidvania style, but none do it quite as good as Blasphemous. All the elements, the power-ups, the weaponry, the magic, the different items that you can equip to gain different abilities and get through the levels is great. My only beef with this game is there's a lot of backtracking. You got to do so much backtracking in Blasphemous, especially the further along you get, because, you know, some of the like gruesome characters that you see along the way that you kind of have to help, they want you to go and retrieve an item and bring it back to them so that they can give you a new version of the item. And so it just requires you to kind of travel back through the maze. Again, that can get stale, especially if you don't know where you're going. You may have to cheat and go on YouTube and figure out how to get past certain parts. I'm an older dude, man. I just don't have the time to be figuring that stuff out. I'm gonna use a help, I'm gonna call on help desk to get through some of this stuff. But if you run into a Blasphemous at your local GameStop, pick this up, because this game, the first version, has definitely shot up in price. I know, like, for the Switch, it's easily $100 or more. And on the PlayStation 4, I don't know if it's quite touched 100 yet, but it's up there. It's the most expensive game in this bunch of games here, and I would definitely recommend you add it to your collection if you have not done so already. So again, just a good batch of games here, a good batch of uncommon non-AAA games, right? These aren't like your Final Fantasies and stuff like that. These are just really good games that I think will help round out your PlayStation 4 collection, as well as give you a ton of fun. If there are other games that I have not mentioned, let me know down in the comments. Do you think that now is the sweet spot to start collecting for the PlayStation 4? I'm interested to know your thoughts. It's the Y2K Collector. Have a good week.